basic income, which, by the way, some of the most interesting stuff on that, I think, is being written by some Minskians. So I don't know if you've seen the work of Stephanie Kelton and Randy Ray and others who've been working, actually, alongside Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in the US on that topic, is really interesting because it builds in some ways on Amartya Sen's work on capabilities, right? That you can't even compete, you can't even enter the world of wanting to increase your own opportunities and make decisions on what sector you might want to work in or what you might want to do in life if you don't have some basic capabilities, whether they are around hygiene, whether they are around education, or whether your income is just so low that you're constantly just trying to survive and you can't really enter this wonderful world of decision making. And so the basic income, I think, hypothesis is fundamental in terms of how it should be seen as one of those basic capabilities, those basic, in some ways, human rights that people should not go under a certain level. Everyone should be given a basic income in order to then, be able to make these interesting choices we all have. What I find uncomfortable with it, which is not really how anyone has talked about it, but my own concern, is to move the progressive agenda from always about redistribution, which currently, that's how it's being discussed, to something which some have called pre-distribution, but then if you look at what was done around pre-distribution, I think it wasn't necessarily adequate, so let me think of a new word for it. I'll come up with the word later. But which is actually, again, coming back to this notion that we're only going to be able to really get a long-standing basic income in the sense of really guaranteeing everyone with their human right of being able to act as a citizen in society and not having to fight for basic things which should be taken for granted, if we have a different concept of all the different actors which have actually been responsible to create wealth in the first place. By the way, workers, I didn't mention, right? I've kept talking about the public sector. Many workers today in new economy type jobs no longer have, for example, a guaranteed career, right, in an organization. So they might be willing to take on quite low wages or low salaries with the hope that they have a long-time career as they might have had under the old economy, but that's no longer true. So they should be seen as risk takers, right? And again, debunking that whole notion of who the risk takers are. But I think what's really important with the basic income work is to both nest it in terms of Sen's basic capabilities, which are required in order for people to pursue opportunities, but also not to allow it to be almost not captured, what's the word, contained within just a redistribution issue. It should be seen as a way to actually enable everyone to create value in the first place, which then, of course, also has to be redistributed, and progressive taxation has to happen. Regressive taxation is, a problem, and it just creates inequality. But by nesting it within a new understanding of value creation, I think is essential for it also to, to move forwards. So